The rain had stopped just before dawn, leaving the courtyard soaked in silver puddles that reflected the pale morning light. Mist clung to the air, thick and restless, as though it too waited to see what would happen that day. At the center of the courtyard stood the Sword of Eryndor, driven deep into an anvil of stone. No one had drawn it for 1,000 years, not elf, not dwarf, not fae, and certainly not human. Yet that morning, a human dared. The mockery, another one? Lady Seraphina arched a brow, her voice lilting with amused disbelief. The elven noble leaned elegantly against a marble column, her silver hair cascading like moonlight down her shoulder. Truly, they breed endless fools among the humans. Around her, several fae courtiers chuckled, soft, musical laughter that echoed like the chime of crystal. At the center of the courtyard stood Aaron Thorn, a man in a tattered cloak, his boots caked in mud, his hands were calloused, his jaw shadowed with stubble. His brown hair was tangled and wet from the rain. He looked terribly, inconveniently mortal. Aaron ignored their laughter. "I just need a moment," he said simply. Seraphina smirked. "A moment? You'll need eternity, dear mortal. Every creature stronger, wiser, and older than you has failed. What makes you think you won't?" Aaron glanced at the sword. "I don't." That earned a few confused looks. He took a breath and stepped closer. The sword was ancient, its hilt inlaid with emeralds, its blade gleaming faintly even in the weak dawn light. Runes glowed faintly along its length, whispering in a language older than kingdoms. Seraphina crossed her arms. "Oh, by all means then. Entertain us. Try and let the blade humiliate you as it has so many before." Aaron grinned faintly. Wouldn't want to disappoint an audience. The sword's challenge when he laid his hands on the hilt. The air changed. A pulse of light rippled through the courtyard, and the mist stirred like breath. Power, real, heavy power, pressed down, and 1,000 eyes seemed to open in the unseen. Seraphina's laughter faltered. Aaron's arms trembled, his fingers tightening around the hilt. The sword was cold, colder than iron, colder than death. Who dares? The voice wasn't heard. It was felt. It thrummed in his bones and his heartbeat. "Aaron Thorn," he whispered. Well, nowhere special. Unworthy. Seraphina smirked again, regaining her poise. "You hear it, don't you, human? It knows what you are. Give up," but Aaron didn't let go. His knuckles whitened. "I'm not here to be worthy," he said. That made Seraphina tilt her head, curiosity flickering through her silver eyes. The sword pulsed again, and the ground beneath Aaron's feet cracked. A gust of ancient magic tore through the courtyard, sending leaves spiraling. The humans who had come before had been flung away at this point, bones shattered by the sword's rejection. But Aaron held firm. He grit his teeth as the force pushed harder, like a storm screaming in his mind. He thought of home, of the smoldering ruins, of his sister's voice, of the promise he'd made to bring back something that could protect them. He didn't care if he was worthy. He just couldn't fail. The memory within the blade. The sword's light flared, blinding bright. Seraphina shielded her eyes. Her mocking tone replaced by wary silence. Aaron felt something pulling him in, not away from the sword, but into it. The world twisted, and suddenly he stood not in the courtyard, but in a vast hall of mirrored light. There were no walls, no sky, just endless reflections of himself. And in each reflection, he saw another version of Aaron, a farmer, a soldier, a thief, a man kneeling beside a grave. The sword's voice filled the hall. "Every mortal seeks me. None understand me. I am not meant for the unworthy," Aaron swallowed. "Then why call to us?" "Because even gods grow tired of gods." A pause. Then the mirrors rippled and a figure stepped forth. A woman made of flame and wind, her eyes twin stars. "Why do you seek me, human? Speak truthfully." "I will know if you lie," Aaron clenched his fists. "My village was burned. My people are dying. I was told this sword could stop the wars. You think you will wield me for peace?" He hesitated. "No. For protection. Even knowing that protection requires blood?" His voice trembled. "I know." The figure's expression softened, almost imperceptibly. "Then you may yet hold me." The turning point outside, Seraphina felt the hum of the sword change pitch. What had been a cruel, rejecting energy now shimmered, curious, alive. Her amusement faded into disbelief. No, that's impossible. The Fae around her shifted nervously. Aaron's feet dug deeper into the stone as the wind howled around him. The light grew unbearable, and then silence. A single sound broke it. The click of metal freeing itself from stone. Gasps echoed through the courtyard. Seraphina's eyes widened as the Sword of Eryndor slid free, effortlessly, from its prison. Aaron staggered, holding the blade upright. The runes along its length glowed like molten gold, and the morning mist burned away in its light. For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then, with a trembling laugh, Seraphina spoke. "By the stars, you actually did it. You." The Priceless reaction, her laughter started small, uncertain, half disbelief, half awe, but then it grew. The Fae nobles glanced uneasily at each other as their mistress laughed, clutching her chest, tears of mirth shining in her eyes. "Oh, by all the heavens, you actually did it," she cried, stepping forward. "A human!" A mud-born, untrained human pulled the Sword of Eryndor. Aaron frowned, exhausted, sweat streaming down his face. "I guess I did." Seraphina circled him slowly, eyes gleaming. "Do you have the faintest idea what that means?" "That sword has tested kings, demons, and gods themselves. It was said only a soul uncorrupted by pride could wield it." Aaron gave a weary smile. "Guess not having much pride helps." That made her laugh harder. "Oh, you are ridiculous. I mocked you. And yet here you stand, glowing like the dawn itself. You've just rewritten 1,000 years of prophecy, and you don't even seem impressed." He shrugged. "I'm just glad it came loose." "My hands are killing me." Seraphina's laughter finally softened. Her expression, when she looked at him again, had changed. There was still humor there, yes, but also something else. Respect. "You're not what I expected, human." "Good," he said. "I'm tired of being what everyone expects." 6. The test beyond the stone. Before anyone could speak again, the sword's light dimmed. The blade trembled in Aaron's hand as though restless. Seraphina's amusement vanished. "Wait, something's wrong." The sword's runes flared again, and a voice, louder, colder, echoed across the courtyard. "To wield me is not to own me." The final test begins. The ground cracked open. Out of the earth rose shadow, twisting forms of armor and bone, hollow-eyed and whispering. Specters of all those who had failed before. Aaron tightened his grip on the sword. Figures it wouldn't be that easy. Seraphina drew her own twin blades, silver arcs of light. "You awakened it. You fight with it." He nodded. Together they faced the oncoming swarm. The battle. The courtyard became chaos. Shadows poured like smoke, clawing, shrieking. Aaron swung the sword, and light cut through darkness like sunrise over a storm. Each strike burned pure. Each movement guided not by skill, but by instinct. The sword seemed to know where to move. When to turn, when to defend. Seraphina fought beside him, her movements fluid and inhumanly fast. She leapt, spun, and slashed with grace that defied gravity. For all her mockery, she found herself glancing at the human more than once, astonished at how he stood his ground. The last of the shades screamed and dissolved into nothingness. The silence that followed was heavy, sacred. Aaron lowered the sword, chest heaving. Seraphina's voice was soft. "You've passed." He looked at her, dazed. "That's it?" She nodded. "That's it." Then with a small smile, "And for what it's worth, you fight well. For a fool." He chuckled weakly. "You're still mocking me." "Always." She stepped closer, eyes meeting his. "But perhaps now I'll mock you with admiration." The choice when dawn fully broke, the courtyard was empty save for them. The sword had quieted, its glow now a soft pulse in Aaron's hand. Seraphina stood beside him watching the sunrise. "So what now?" she asked. He stared at the blade. "I take it home. Use it to protect those who can't fight." She tilted her head. "You realize such power corrupts most who hold it." "I know." He smiled faintly. "Guess I'll just have to try not to." There was a pause. Then she said quietly, "You humbled me, human. I thought you a joke. But when you touched the sword, you didn't seek glory or power. You sought hope. I'd forgotten what that looked like." He turned to her. "Then maybe that's why it let me." Seraphina's lips curved into a rare, genuine smile. "Perhaps it did." The legend that followed. Years later, they would sing songs of the human who drew the sword when no immortal could. Some would say he was chosen by fate, others that the sword pitied him. But those who knew the truth, the elves, the fae, and one silver-haired woman, knew better. The sword had chosen not the strongest, but the one who didn't care about being chosen. And as for Lady Seraphina, her mocking laughter was forever remembered in that single, unforgettable moment when the sword came free, and her proud, perfect composure shattered into astonished, joyous disbelief. They would say her reaction was priceless, because for the first time in 1,000 years, an elf laughed because a human had succeeded, and she never mocked another one again.